everybody to the checkout. Andy and Corbin here. We're breaking down Premier League Night 9. My God, I can't believe it.
Already?
I know it's like
Where have the
what?
weeks gone?
My God, I can't believe it. So we're gonna break down Premier League Night 9. Gonna go over some bets, some numbers, and everything. So you guys know what to do. Hit the like button right now. Just hit the like button. Leave us a comment in the comment section, even if you don't have a hot take on darts, we don't expect. Just put an emoji or something that helps the algorithm out, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out as well. All right, let's get right into it. The Luke Darley, maybe back on track. Maybe back on track in the first round. Gets the win. Suffered an L on the over 7.5 alt games. Darley, good
Yeah.
God, bunting. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? Can you imagine
Just
traveling all the way there and not winning one?
yeah. He didn't just not go over 7.5. He didn't win a leg.
He didn't.
And
We would have lost on the 6.5, which is really hard to do.
really, really hard to do.
Yeah, so we're up 6.4 units in the Premier League, so pretty happy with that. And we just did our March recap with the 3 straight profitable months in 2025. And as Corbin did a deep dive and found out, we are now profitable in 14 out of the last 17 months. So we're up 61.06 units in all sports. We're running a special with that. We'll tell you about that in just a second. But let's get into the plays here. I mean, you got Aspinall versus Bunting.
Oh God.
He's just a fade. This is like Peter Wright last year. I wonder if this is just going to be the thing that happens every year.
It's confusing because I forgot who it was. The year before Peter Wright, there was someone else that we did this with, and the idea is that you see them progressing, they're getting old, and then they fall off a cliff. And I mean, they fall off a cliff.
Like NFL running backs, just it's gone.
But Bunting kind of like he didn't have that like gradual fall. It's like he's literally just jumped off a cliff, quite honestly. But it's also weird because at the same time, outside of a few games, he hasn't actually played that bad in some of them. Like he was like averaging like 110 in some games, and just like some of them he got unlucky, and then it's his confidence, and then last week was awful. But then again, he played at the weekend. They had so between last Thursday and this Thursday, they've had 2 players' championships. They're basically behind closed doors. There's no fans, there's no atmosphere, there's no walk-ons. It's just kind of that's your time you play. And he wasn't that bad. I think he had a couple of wins and then a loss against someone. It's not great, but the atmosphere, the walk-ons, everything about the Premier League just seems to be overwhelming him at the minute. And it's not just as simple as that to like get out of that funk. It's like, but again, Aspinall kind of feels like Aspinall's going to give him a chance at some point. He's just that kind of player, I feel like. And right now, I don't see the way Bunting takes it
Yeah.
at all. It's overs galore in this one. But then again, you go back to do you want to play overs on a guy that just lost 6-1 and could fall apart very if he loses the first throw or the second, because we talked about it on the show last week. His first throw on his throw, not like his opponent's of the night, he has lost on like 5 of like the 6 or 7 weeks. Like it's crazy. So
And then he's playing
and then
catch up, which he
exactly,
can't
which
do
then
because of
sets
how
him
bad
off
he's.
again, and then he's like 3-0 down, and he's like, "Here we go again." Like you can see how it all kind of works. So yeah, I feel like it's I'm surprised Aspinall isn't minus 150 or bigger, quite honestly,
Me
just
too.
because of how Bunting's playing. I can't do anything with the 180s. The only other thing on this game I was looking at was the average for Bunting. I mentioned, even though he's been playing horrifically, it was 95.5 last week and he went over. So
In a game he
it's
didn't even
95.5 again. I mean, I didn't play it last week, so I don't feel like I can play it this week.
This
But
is
I do feel like he might keep sneaking over 95.5 and still losing. So
listen. I know it's minus 215, but why is Bunting 3.5? 3.5 180.
Yeah.
Like
They're
that's just
tempting you into something.
yeah, they really are. So poor Bunting, man. It is getting to the point where it's painful to watch, where you just watch him
Yeah.
walk
No,
out
it
and you're just
is.
like, oh no, this guy. And then when he loses the first leg, it's just like when he loses his first throw, you're like, well, this
Yeah,
is done. This is
the
over.
this week I am gonna try, okay, I'm gonna only sprinkle and it'll be on the live show, but I'm gonna when it's Bunting's throw, I'm gonna bet on Aspinall to win that leg. Normally, them to win the leg at the start is gonna be plus 300 or better because it's
Oh, I
a
love
single
this.
leg. I'm only gonna do it on his first throw, and if it wins, I'm just gonna sail off, and we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, that's when you got to tune into the live stream to see how that goes. So
I like it. I like it. Humphreys and Cross. Humphreys been looking pretty good. He's the minus 230 favorite. Um, I don't know. I don't. Am I going to pick Cross to win? No. Do I like the minus 230? Mm, I mean, if you parlay it with something, but Littler's minus 750 this week. I don't know. Cross can always throw a wrench into your plans with betting. How do you attack this one?
yeah, so this game is really difficult for me. I mean, Humphreys got battered in the final last week. We talk about Bunting losing 6-0. I mean, Humphreys lost 6-1, and that
At
was
least it was
shocking,
in
quite
the
honestly.
final.
Yeah, and true, true. Um, I mentioned it before, but Cross is now on a 4-1 head-to-head run against Humphreys, which I find quite interesting. But Cross was awful at the weekend. I think he lost in the first or second round against complete nobodies. He was awful. To me, this game just breeds highest checkout. I don't know if what do they have it?
113 and a half.
I love that. I love the 113.5. I was
Over?
going yeah, I was going over the stats. Last two head-to-heads, I think Humphreys has two highest checkouts over 150. He had a
Wow.
167 against Cross. Cross has over 80 in each of their head-to-heads, and he has a like a one, I think it might be a 113 or something in that region. This game just they're both quite clinical, it seems, on the highest checkouts. I wouldn't expect it from Cross because his scoring is so low, but he's either really good or really bad at the checkouts. So yeah, highest checkout is where I'm going with those. I did look at the 180s, but it's like because we've talked about both of them are not good on the 180s at the minute. But you look at all their head-to-heads matchups recently, and they've had like Humphreys had like 7 and 5 in one of the head-to-heads, and Cross has had like 2 and 5. I want to say off the top of my head. So I can't really do anything. Maybe a sneaky over actually on the over 4.5.
I love the over four. And how often are you going to get a match that
Yeah,
we think is going to be close? The underdog has had good success against the favorite, meaning we expect it to be a little bit closer, which means more legs.
yeah.
4.5 seems
It,
incredibly low.
I don't ever remember a 4.5 total, and this isn't like a Cross versus like Bunting or something. Like this is Luke Humphreys. Like I know he's not had that many. I mean, you talk about they both pretty consistently get two each. So one of them needs to get to three.
Yeah,
Like, and this could be Cross could get there on his own if he turns up like he did a few weeks ago, and so could Humphreys. So
absolutely. Yeah, I think that one
I quite like that.
was interesting. Moving on to Adobe and Littler. I mean, rough week for Dobie to catch Littler. I mean, Littler's just a freight train of Premier League right now. I mean, you got to lay minus 180 on the minus 2.5. That being
Yeah.
said, I'm not. I don't know. I don't think I'm taking the plus 2.5, but I do like the. I like the over 7.5 on this. I know Littler, slaughtered Bunting, but Bunting's in his own category right now. I would look at overs in this one. I still think Littler screws around. And by the way, Littler did screw around last week with Bunting. Like
He
he was
tried. He tried so
trying.
hard. Just take one leg, Bunting. Just do something. And Bunting was like, nope, nope.
Bunting was like, oh,
Oh no.
oh.
Oh God.
Like,
Yeah.
people are ducking. Like,
The cones are all ducking out the way,
yeah.
trying to direct him to the board.
I'm guessing we're looking at other props in.
I will say minus 750 on any player to win in it's very crazy. It's just unrealistic. Dobie played well last week. I could be tempted on. I don't know what the over 7.5, 8.5 is this week.
Oh, we're gonna get to those.
Okay,
uh,
maybe I'll.
Here, we'll do it now. We'll do it right now
Okay, do you
because
know what really confuses me just looking at this? So
what?
let's minus 750 this week, right? Last week he was minus 500, I think. But the over 7.5 is still minus 400. It's not like the 7.5 has dropped because he's a bigger favorite.
I
That's
agree.
slightly worrying and slightly confusing. But
It's only minus 143 this week. If I'm committing to it every week, which I personally am, then
hmm,
yeah, I'm just gonna do it. And listen, Bunting's playing Aspinall. That's the terrifying one. But it's the one with the.
Aspinall's going to give him so many chances, though. If he
That's what I
he
think.
should get to at least 2 this week. I feel like.
I agree. I agree. And also, at some point, the guys are like, I mean, we saw Littler feeling bad last week.
Yeah,
Like the guys
yeah.
are gonna
Someone.
try.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not.
yeah.
They don't want to humiliate this guy. So yeah, that's 7.5 minus 400
Yeah,
only.
I like that.
So all
The only
right.
other thing with Littler is it's the match treble. You just got to keep playing it. Just rinse and repeat. I like this week could get a tad close, just because. So just looking based at the recent head to head, I think Littler's finished each of them with like one more 180 and only a slightly better highest checkout. But I almost don't care who he plays at the minute. It's one of those. He's in such good form. I'm just gonna keep rinsing and repeating it. Even if it loses, I'm gonna keep coming back to it until I see something drastic happen. I wondered what the total 180 is. I don't know if you can call
Total
that.
180s for the match is 7.5, laying minus
Oh,
140.
mm,
Yeah, you would have been much more tempted at 6.5, but
six and
seven
a
and a
half.
half
I
is
would
a
have
lot.
made it a play. Yeah.
7.5 is quite a bit. So, and who do they have? Yeah, okay, so they got Littler at 4.5
See,
and
if I'm
Dobie at
going to take the 7.5, I would much rather. Again, that equals 6.5. Like 2.5 and 4.5 is
it's
like where do
7.
they go?
It's below. So, like, you need both of
Both
these guys to
twos.
get over,
So
or one of them to go ballistic. I would be much more tempted with Dobie over 2.5.
yeah, yeah,
So,
4.5. If he wins 7-6-2 even could be a little bit of a challenge. So
Michael Van Gerwen and Gerwin Price.
oh god.
Have we figured out what's going on with Gerwin Price, or didn't he play good over the weekend? But
Yeah, I was so he has been absolutely awful the last 2 weeks. He has not looked like Gerwin Price in the slightest. Like I can get you can play bad, right? But we say it, his body language, it's like he's already defeated before he even anything's even happened. But then he wins one of the tournaments at the weekend, but then loses in the first round the next day. It's like but again, that's behind closed doors. That's no crowd. That's no pressure. It's like it feels like something's going on that we just don't know about. And I will not be surprised if in a month he comes out and says he has like some kind of injury or he has something going on in his personal life. It makes it very confusing, to be
his,
honest.
his body language the last 2 weeks was like after 3 weeks ago, he gets done, he's celebrating, and he walks off the stage, and someone's like, "Gerwin, come here. Listen, bummer of a news. The world's gonna end in a month, and
And
you're
you
the
can't
only,
tell anyone.
and you can't tell anyone, and you're the only person on the planet that knows." So he's just going through like,
He's just like traipsing
I didn't
around like
win.
oh god.
Just it's the
It's the
strangest thing.
so he started slow in both the weeks, and he's like had that like stretch in the middle to the end where he like recovers it, and you're like, is he going to cash the over? And but he's not even like celebrating like his comeback. He's not putting any pressure or presence on. Like he'll hit a 180 and he'll just go and collect his darts. Whereas before he'd give it the booyah
Booyah!
or now he's
Yeah.
just like it's just like oh god I hit a
It's like he
180.
thinks about doing it. It's like, well, the world's ending. So let's grab the darts and
I've just dragged on this game for an extra 5 minutes for no reason.
it's
And then,
very,
of
very
course, he
strange.
gets first round Van Gerwen. If Van Gerwen gets ahead, I don't see him given these same opportunities to get back in the game that the others have had. 4 or 5 head to heads. Um, I like Van Gerwen this week, to be honest. I feel like until I see something from Price in the Premier League or a big tournament, I think it might be time to play against him. He had a similar kind of downturn last year. Do you remember he had the injury? He pulled out
Yep.
of certain tournaments. I don't know what it is, but it might be worth riding against Price, same way we just mentioned about Bunting. You've got to the next thing I was going to say, 180s. I was going to look at Van Gogh over his 180s. I mentioned it at 2.5. If it's still 2.5,
Yes, minus 135.
he's been cashing these overs. He didn't make it pretty last week. I remember you sweating it when he was
Yes.
avoiding the treble 20 for about half the game and then suddenly just exploded. I quite like that. It's another one. I feel like if it's at 2.5, we might be able to ride that one for a little bit potentially. I will say there's quite a lot that I've mentioned that I like. I wouldn't play it all just because the format, it's short. There's a lot of variance, so don't play everything that I've said I like. You have to kind of really narrow it down. But then I quite like the overs as well this week on that game. But it's again, which price is going to show up? Is he going to unnecessarily sweat this game and lead to a Van Gogh in 6-1 or 6-2 kind of thing?
So the good news about when you cash a prop like Van Gogh, like I had Van Gogh in last week over 2.5 when it was just dead in the water. And then he gets a couple of them late. The upside is you get the same price. You get the exact
Yeah.
same play and the same price again. Like it would be awesome if he went out and just threw 5, but then you're never getting that that same play again. So it's kind of yeah, it's kind of I don't know. It's there's good and bad things to it. I was going to bring up.
That was the next thing I was going to bring up.
Let's do it. Let's talk it out. I mean, under half for the Van Gerwen price is only minus 175. I don't think they had any in the first round last week.
I'm going to be honest. I don't remember a single bullseye full stop last week.
I don't either. I don't either.
I would have to. I find it interesting. You see, like Bunting's at like minus 900.
Yes.
Like, I don't know where they're getting some of these like numbers from. Like, why is Cross minus 900 and Dobie's minus 1,000? But then
Price is the one that surprises me.
525.
I looked him up, and he's got the worst checkout or the worst bullseye percentage, like by
Yeah,
far.
it might be one to fully dive into the stats and try and work out, because again, some of these prices, like I find it crazy. Like you have some at minus 400, and then you have some at minus 1,000, but it doesn't kind of feel like there's that much between them. Like on
No,
the face of it, Littler I can get because he just goes for crazy stuff all the time, so that's not surprising. But like, I don't see why Price is minus 500 and Dobie minus 1,000 on the face of it, you know?
yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, I obviously the underdogs like Bunting. It's like you can barely get a checkout, let alone very specific checkout. So I'm looking at that one.
Just out of interest, can you parlay them together? So take the total, yeah, that one, the minus 350. Take that with the under, right at the bottom, the minus 175. Can you put those
It's
together?
plus 102. I did this earlier.
I don't hate this at all.
I
This is
don't
definitely
either.
something that I'm gonna try and think about and look into. So
Because not only do they have to get the situation where they need the Bulls,
exactly,
they have to hit it.
exactly.
And how often does the Bulls really come up? Like
The
a
ones
couple
that spring
times?
to mind, there's 3 players that I would avoid with it. Littler's the obvious one. Cross Cross at least attempts it. He doesn't always get close to it, but I have seen him hit one recently when he had the big checkout. And then Humphreys is the only other one. So that takes out 2 of the games this week and leaves these 2. At plus money, I've seen way worse plays out there. So
I agree. We just noticed it. And I the only reason I noticed it was I accidentally clicked on the wrong tab in one of the websites, and
hey, that's what all it takes
I meant to
sometimes.
click on something, and I accidentally clicked on bullseye finishes percentage, and I was like, wow, these guys don't hit bullseyes. Like, and I was looking at the percentage of when they had the opportunity to hit it, and if they did, I was like, wow, they're hitting it like 20% of the time. So even if they do get a
Yeah.
rare opportunity with it, it's just a really, really tough throw. So I don't know, man. If I see minus 175
Yeah,
just
that's
on that seems like a long-term winning play. If every time you see a
yeah.
price like that, you're like, no, I gotta put this with something. So
Again, I don't understand. If I told you which game's more likely to see a bullseye, Little Adobe or Price Van Gogh in, I know which one I'm saying is way more likely, yet they're the same price.
I
Like,
yes, yeah. But again, Corbin, this is what we do. We don't just do this in darts. We do this with all sports. You find these lines that don't
yeah,
make any sense, and you have to dig deep into the different categories, and that's where you can make a killing. That's how you can build your
yeah.
bankroll and hit at this, extreme rate. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. So, all right, guys, our darts pack is up. We will have all the plays for darts. I will be live on the checkout live tomorrow. We'll be watching the darts plays. Have any lives plays for you? I wanted to also, I forgot to scroll down. Uh, Again, if we have plays in the second round, they're going to be around 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. That's United States. It's my time. So adjust accordingly, and just have your notifications on if you got the darts play. So we're trying to be better with not putting in plays late, but listen, we're not going to pass up great lines and
Exactly.
great bets. So if you get the darts pack, make sure that you take advantage of that. So, all right, Corbin, anything else for this week's plays?
I think that's it.
All right, good luck on all your plays, guys. We'll see everyone tomorrow on the Checkout Live. It's on the Winning in the Shadows YouTube channel. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave us a comment, just say hi in the comment section. Good luck in your plays, and we'll see everyone later.
Good luck.